Shri Caitanya Caritamrta
Madhya Lila, Chapter 7. Lord Chaitanya, the ocean of all transcendental qualities, danced most gracefully. He is like the Cintamani gem, fulfilling everyone's desire by the arrangement of providence, and the rare gem of devotional service to him has been given to me. All glories to Lord Gaurasundar, the life and soul of every living entity, and the most beloved object of Sri Advaita Acharya Prabhu and Lord Nityananda. He sustains life in Sri Jagannath Pandit and Sri Damodar, and he is the crown jewel of the heart. He is the Lord and Master of Jagadish and Gopinath. Along with the Supreme Lord Gaurachandra, let all his dear devotees be also glorified. Lord Gaurachandra continued to perform his ecstatic pastimes with Lord Nityananda Prabhu in Navadvip, and all the Vaishnavas accompanied Srila Advaita Acharya Prabhu, who leads them to a grand and ecstatic dancing and chanting of the holy name of Lord Krishna. Lord Nityananda Prabhu remained in Srivas Pandit's house and constantly exhibited the mood of a young boy. When he sat down to eat, he would not be himself but acted like a young boy, and Malini, Srivas Pandit's wife, would have to feed him. Now hear the story of Vidyanidhi Prabhu's arrival in Navadvip. Pundarik was a very dear associate of Sri Krishna. He appeared in the village of Chattagram in East Bengal by the Lord's arrangement, and by his order, he purified that land. The Lord himself appeared in Navadvip, and when he could not find Pundarik Vidyanidhi in Navadvip, he was sighing heavily, feeling separation from him. One day, after ecstatic dancing, the Lord sat down and exclaimed, "O my father, Pundarik," and began to cry. "O Pundarik, O my father, when will I be able to see you again?" Such was the extent of the Lord's affection for Pundarik Vidyanidhi. In this way, Lord Gaurachandra revealed his intimate associates performing such wonderful pastimes. All the devotees around Lord Chaitanya could not understand the import of the name that the Lord kept repeating, and his weeping. They conjectured that Pundarik would naturally imply Krishna, and Vidyanidhi had many different explanations. But everyone could understand that this person was a very confidential associate of the Lord. So when the Lord came out of his trance, the devotees asked him, "For which associate of yours are you weeping, my Lord? Please reveal it to us. Please tell us who he is, when he was born, what he does. Tell us, Lord, so that we may have the good fortune to know him." The Lord replied, "You are certainly fortunate because you desire to hear about him. His activities and character are most wonderful. The whole world can be purified just by hearing his name. His ecstatic appearance is almost like an ordinary man, so no one could recognize him as a pure devotee of the Lord. This highly learned scholar Brahmin was born in Chattagram. He executed the prescribed religious principles and was respected by everyone. He is always floating in an ocean of nectar of love of Krishna. His body constantly displays different ecstatic symptoms of crying, horripilation, and so on. He never went for ablutions to the Ganga to cleanse himself of his sins, like everyone else. He never went into her waters, avoiding the touch of the waters with his feet. But he came to see and pay his respects to her every day in the evening when the teeming crowds had all gone. He could not bear to see Mother Ganga disrespected and utilized by people who spat into her, cleaning their mouth with her waters, washing their hair and dirty clothes. So he preferred to come to her when there was nobody around in the evenings. Listen to another wonderful trait of his character. Before worshiping the Lord, he always drank Ganga water. Then he performed all his daily prescribed religious duties. This was also meant to give all the puffed-up scholars a lesson about the greatness of Mother Ganga. He is presently in Chattagram, but he is soon coming to Navadvip, where he also has a house. None of you will be able to recognize him on sight. One will be inclined to think that he is an ordinary materialistic person. I feel very uneasy without seeing him, so all of you must endeavor and pray to bring him here very quickly." Talking about Pundarika Vidyanidhi, the Lord went into an ecstatic trance and began to weep, saying, "O my father, Pundarik." The Lord began lamenting loudly, for he only knew about the greatness of pure Vaishnava devotees. And if the Lord mercifully revealed this truth to anyone, then only could the devotee know about this wonderful and unique position of pure devotees of the Lord. When the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself attracts a living entity, then there is no way that he cannot respond. And so Pundarika Vidyanidhi suddenly desired to go to Navadvip. He came to Navadvip with many disciples and made arrangements. In Navadvip he remained incognito, and all the ordinary men considered him to be a lavish materialist attached to a life of comfort and self-enjoyment. Except Mukunda, no one amongst the Vaishnava devotees knew about Pundarika Vidyanidhi's arrival in Navadvip. Sri Mukunda was an Ayurvedic doctor, and since this Brahmin was born in Chattagram, he knew about the wonderful Vaishnava qualities of Pundarika Vidyanidhi. Mukunda was so overjoyed when he found out that Pundarika Vidyanidhi was in Navadvip that it was difficult for him to control himself. But Mukunda did not reveal Pundarika Vidyanidhi's identity to anyone, and Pundarik remained in the eyes of ordinary folks as a materialistic self-enjoyer. Only Mukunda and his brother Vasudev Datta knew about the intensity of Pundarik's love of God. Gadadhara Pandita was a very dear friend to Mukunda, and they were always in each other's company. So Mukunda said to Gadadhara Pandita, "A very pure and great Vaishnava has come to Navadvip. Listen carefully, Gadadhara Pandita. The Vaishnav's association that you have always been hankering for will be fulfilled today. I will take you to the wonderful Vaishnava devotee. And in return for this, I simply want you to think of me as your dear servant." Gadadhara Pandita became excited and happy, and calling out Krishna's name, he went to see this great Vaishnava. Pundarika Vidyanidhi was sitting when Gadadhara Pandita arrived in his presence. Gadadhara Pandita offered his obeisances to him, and was comfortably and respectfully seated down. Vidyanidhi inquired from Mukunda, "What is his name? Which village does he come from? I can see his body is effulgent by rendering devotional service to the Supreme Lord Vishnu. Both his form and demeanor are very wonderful." Mukunda replied, "His name is Sri Gadadhar. He is very fortunate because from early childhood he is totally detached from material life. His external and material identity is that he is the son of Sri Madhva Mishra, the Brahmin, but he is also beloved by all the Vaishnava devotees. He is totally absorbed in devotional service and associates with only Vaishnava devotees. When he heard about you, he wanted to meet you." Vidyanidhi was pleased to meet Gadadhara Pandita after hearing his wonderful qualities. The great personality Sri Pundarika Vidyanidhi sat there like a prince. His beautiful bed was made of metal with intricate brass inlay work on it, and an attached brass lamp stand extended from it, with 3 bright lamps hanging. He was seated on a soft mattress with clean and expensive sheets. Silk pillows were placed under his back, and on either side many small and big water pots were within his reach. A nice shining brass plate had Betelpan neatly prepared on it. 2 large ornate mirrors were on either side of him, and he kept looking in them, smiling with lips reddened by chewing pan. He had tilak mark on his forehead made of sandalwood paste, and his face was decorated with dots made from a mixture of sandalwood and perfume. As for his hair, it was well groomed and shining with delicately perfumed hair oil. 2 persons stood behind him and fanned him gently with long peacock feathers. He looked as charming as Cupid himself, because he followed a pure life of devotional service, and those who did not know him would consider him to be a prince. In front of him was a nicely prepared hammock. Everything about him and around him gave the impression that he was a man of easy and comfortable life given to pleasure. When Gadadhara Pandita saw these luxurious items and a general atmosphere of materialistic life, he became suspicious. Gadadhara Pandita was a fully renounced soul from his early childhood, so it was natural that some doubts about the character of Pundarika Vidyanidhi had entered his heart. He thought, what sort of a Vaishnava is he with so much finery and lavish living? When I heard about his devotional mood, I developed a great respect for this person, but now, on seeing him, it is slowly giving way to doubts and suspicion. Mukunda could understand Gadadhara Pandit's mind and heart, so he took upon himself to reveal the real nature of Pundarika Vidyanidhi. By Lord Krishna's special mercy, Gadadhara Pandit was capable of perceiving everything, and there was nothing unknown to him. Mukunda had a very sweet voice, so now he began to sing a verse from the Srimad Bhagavatam describing the glories of devotional service. Alas, how shall I take shelter of one more merciful than he, who granted the position of a mother to the demon Putana? Although she was unfaithful and she prepared deadly poison to be sucked from her breast, Putana was always hankering for the blood of human children, and with that desire she came to kill Krishna. But because she offered her breast to the Lord, she attained the greatest achievement. As soon as these words concerning devotional service entered his ears, Pundarika Vidyanidhi began to weep. Tears of ecstatic love welled up in his eyes, rolling down profusely like streams of the Ganga. Simultaneously, all the symptoms of ecstasy manifested on his person. He began to weep. He trembled, rolled, horripilated, roared, and finally went into an unconscious state of ecstasy. Then suddenly coming back, he began to repeat, "Speak, speak," in a loud voice, and again fell down to the ground. Agitated with spiritual emotions, he kicked everything that was near him. The luxurious paraphernalia all went crashing to the ground. The shining brass pots of water, containers of betel pan, pillows, bed sheets, everything became a confused mass. He began tearing fine clothes, and his well-groomed hair went haywire as he wept and rolled in the dust. He cried out, "O Krishna, my Lord, my soul, my very life, you have made me hard-hearted like a stone or rock." He began to loudly lament, piteously crying out, "I have been deprived of the Lord's association in such a merciful incarnation." He rolled and kept crashing down to the ground and made everyone worried. They became concerned that he did not break his bones. Then he began to tremble so violently that even 3 persons could not hold him still. He kicked everything that was in his way with his feet. All the devotees and his disciples who tried to control him just stood there without being able to hold him down. In this way, when the storm of ecstatic love continued and then finally abated, he went into an unconscious state of bliss. He lay down without breathing, totally submerged in an ocean of spiritual ecstatic bliss. Gadadhara Pandit was amazed at what he had just now witnessed, and he began to worry. He thought, "What inauspiciousness has overcome me at this time that made me think in such an offensive manner about this personality?" He was extremely pleased with Mukunda, and embracing him, he drenched him with tears of love for the Supreme Lord and said that, "Mukunda, you have acted like a true friend. You have shown me the pure and unalloyed devotee of the Lord. It is rare to find another pure Vaishnava like him anywhere in this entire creation. One can become totally purified by looking at his devotional attitude. Today I've been able to avoid a great catastrophe, and that also because you are right next to me. When I looked at all the luxurious paraphernalia surrounding Pundarika Vidyanidhi, I was convinced that he was a materialistic Vaishnava given to the pleasures of life. You could read my mind, and being a great and magnanimous soul, you revealed to me the unlimited extent of Pundarika Vidyanidhi's love of God. Yet I have been offensive today, and the extent of my offense can only be mitigated if you are merciful to me and purify my heart. All these devotees who have taken to the process of surrender to the Lord and devotional service to the Lord have all taken shelter of a guide under whose instructions they act. Yet I do not have such an instructor, so I have decided to take shelter of Pundarika Vidyanidhi and follow devotional service under his instructions. I know that I can counter all of my offenses against him by becoming his disciple." Thus Gadadhara Pandit revealed his desire to become a disciple of Pundarika Vidyanidhi to Mukunda. Mukunda was extremely pleased with the decision and patted him on the back, saying, "Very good, very good." Sri Pundarika Vidyanidhi was in a state of ecstatic coma for 6 hours. Gradually he returned to his normal state and sat down quietly. It was impossible for Gadadhara Pandit to control the tears of joy that rolled profusely down his eyes, wetting his entire body. When Sri Vidyanidhi saw this, he embraced Gadadhara Pandit and held him to his heart. Gadadhara could not sleep, overwhelmed by Pundarika Vidyanidhi's ecstatic devotion. Mukunda spoke up about Gadadhara's mind and said, "Doubt had arisen in his mind at first when he saw your extravagant appearance and surroundings, for which he is now repentant, and he wants to accept initiation from you. He is a devotee of the Lord and very renounced. Although young, he is matured in spiritual thoughts. He is from a very good family of Madhva Mishra. From early childhood, he is very attached to the Supreme Lord, and I think that it is a very good match, a very elevated spiritual master like Pundarika Vidyanidhi having an equally able disciple like Gadadhara Pandit. Please consider these points, and then choosing an auspicious day, initiate him with your Diksha mantra." Pundarika Vidyanidhi smiled and said, "The Lord has arranged for me to meet a great gem-like person. Be assured that I will do as you say, for it is my great fortune and the results of many lifetimes of pious activities that one can find a disciple like him. The forthcoming 12th day of the waxing moon is very auspicious. Come here and meet me. With this, your plan will become successful." Gadadhara Pandit was overjoyed, and he offered his obeisances to him and took leave of Pundarika Vidyanidhi. Mukunda and Gadadhara went straight to meet Lord Gaurachandra. They informed the Lord of Pundarika Vidyanidhi's arrival, and Lord Vishvambar was very happy to hear the news. Pundarika Vidyanidhi came in the night to Gaurachandra's place without being seen by anyone. He left all his associates behind, and alone he came to meet the Lord. As soon as he saw Lord Vishvambar, he went into an ecstatic trance. He fell down like a rod to offer his obeisances to the Lord, and lay on the ground experiencing waves of joy. Shortly he came out of his trance and began to roar loudly, and then despising himself, he began to weep. He said, crying, "O Lord Krishna, O my dear Krishna, you are my Lord and Father. I am a great offender. Please punish this wretch. O Lord, you have liberated everyone in the world. You have deprived only me of this." All the assembled Vaishnavas knew Pundarika Vidyanidhi to be a great and elevated Vaishnava, so when he began to lament in this manner, all the devotees felt pain, and they began to weep. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Chaitanya, is specially inclined to his pure devotees, and now, finding his beloved devotee, he got up and embraced him. The Lord began to cry, saying, "O my father, Pundarik, finally I am able to see you today." Vaishnavas were happy to have Pundarika Vidyanidhi amongst them, and the joy of having the association of such an elevated devotee brought tears of happiness in everyone's eyes. So wonderful was the scene that no pen can describe it. Lord Gaurasundar held Pundarika Vidyanidhi in a loving embrace, wetting Pundarik with his tears of love. The devotees could understand that Pundarik was very beloved of the Lord, and they immediately felt affection, respect, and a sense of closeness with him. The Lord kept holding Pundarika Vidyanidhi closely as if he wanted to merge his body into his. For some time the Lord was unable to move, and he remained like a statue holding Vidyanidhi in his close embrace, and then coming out of his trance he began to repeat Lord Hari's name. He said, "Today Lord Krishna has been very merciful to me. He has fulfilled all my desires. I have met a person of my heart's desire." Pundarika Vidyanidhi now met all the Vaishnavas fondly, and then they began to chant the holy name of God together. The Lord introduced him with these words, "His name is Pundarika Vidyanidhi. The Lord has specially created him to distribute love of Godhead." All the devotees were feeling great happiness hearing such wonderful qualities of this Vaishnav, and they responded by lifting up their arms and chanting Hari Hari. The Lord said, "It is a special day today. A wonderful thing has happened today. I woke up from sleep, and my eyes beheld the ocean of love of Godhead directly in person." All this while, Pundarika Vidyanidhi was in an ecstatic trance, totally absorbed within himself, unaware of his immediate external surrounding. But now he became aware of the devotees around him. He first offered obeisances to his Lord, properly recognizing him for the first time since his meeting. Then he offered his obeisances to Advaita Acharya Prabhu and exchanged obeisances with all the other Vaishnavas. It was a glorious scene, and all the devotees were floating in waves of ecstasy at being able to meet Pundarika Vidyanidhi, who himself is an ocean of love of Godhead. Only the very pious and fortunate person is able to describe this marvelous scene. Gadadhara Pandit took Lord Vishvambar's permission, and accepting initiation from Pundarika Vidyanidhi, Gadadhara Pandit said, "I was not aware of his uncommon behavior, and so I developed some disrespect for this great personality. Therefore, in order to clean myself of this sin, I want to become his disciple. For surely then this spiritual master will exonerate me." The Lord appreciated Gadadhara Pandit's mood, and he said, "Yes, perform it quickly." Then Gadadhara Pandit formally accepted from Pundarika Vidyanidhi the ocean of ecstatic loving devotion. Such are the wonderful qualities of Pundarika Vidyanidhi. What ability do I have to speak about this? For he is such an elevated Vaishnava that even Gadadhara Pandit was his disciple. I have just narrated in short this wonderful pastime of Pundarika Vidyanidhi, for I was hankering for this with the hope that I will be able to have his association. Both the spiritual master and the disciple are competent and are very dearly beloved of the Supreme Lord, Sri Krishna Chaitanya. And whoever hears this meeting between Gadadhara Pandit and Pundarika Vidyanidhi will gradually experience the highest ecstasies of love of Godhead. Lord Sri Krishna Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda Prabhu are my life and soul. I, Vrindavan Das, offer my humble song at their lotus feet.